Okay, so I have received a question on how to mark T3 and T4. So I have already done my Nasion to Indian mark. I've already marked my CZ, my part of my FPZ and part of my OZ. So my next step is I'm going to go across the top of the head. Now I've marked on my glass head where my pre-auricular site is, and I would do that on both sides. And so first I'm going to go across the top of the head. Okay, and I get about just 35 and a half. So I'm going to do 17.25 here. Okay, and then I'm going to go up 3.5 here. And then I'm going to do the same over on the other side. Okay. Now, you see I have two lines up here at the top of my head. You see how they're not connected? I'm going to go ahead and extend them out so they connect with each other. Okay? So now I have a little cross mark. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go from this line that I made here, which is going to be my T3, to my CZ. And I'm getting 13 and a half. Alrighty, I'm going to do the same thing over on the other side. Alright, now I'm going to extend those lines out a little bit. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is the circumference of the head all the way around. To do that, I have to find the center of the head, and I usually look at my eyebrows and go measure them and go right in between. And again, I want to connect that line with my FPZ. Now on a glass head, I have a nice center line already made for me, so I'm going to use that. Okay. Now, it's important that you always line your tape measure up with the same side of the line. So I'm going to go under the line, okay? I go around the back of the head. It needs to go directly under your OZ back there, okay? So make sure you're under the line, because if it slides down your head or slides up your head, your measurement's going to be off, okay? So here I have, looks like 50, whoops, try that again. 56 and a half is what I'm getting. So half of that is what I'm going to do, mark on my OZ. Okay, and that gets me about 43.25. Or I meant, that's not what I meant, sorry. 28.25. Okay. Okay. So from there, I'm going to go 10%, which would be 2.8 off to each side of my CZ, or my OZ, excuse me. And my measurement got just a little bit off because my tape measure is sliding. I'm going to do the same over here, 2.8. And see, since I'm lining it up, if you can see this, sorry. Since I'm lining it up under the line here, 2.8, I can use my tape measure to make the other hash mark, because this is a 10% line that is imaginary that goes around the entire head. Okay, now from here, I'm going to line this up right here under my, you can go from your FZ or you can go from your FP1. If you go from your FPZ, you need to measure then to your OZ. I like to go from my FP1 to my O1, so that's what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter which way you do it, half is still a half in the measurement. So to get my other mark on my T3, I'm going to go from here to here to my O1, and I'm getting 23. So that's going to be 11 and a half. Whoops. So I'm going to mark that right here, and that's going to intersect with this line here. Now this line should line up with this line up here. Okay, so I should be able to take my tape measure and find a straight line across the top of the head, and I am just slightly off. But remember when I said my tape measure was just slightly off over here? That's causing this one to be slightly off. Next, we would find our F7. So we'd go from there to there and do half of that. I get 11, so that'll be 6.5. And again, you can draw on your line that way. Okay? Then we're going to do the same over here. Again, I hope you can see this. I'm going from FP2 under this line, I get 23, so I'm going to do 11.5 again. And this kind of verifies that my mark was off in the back, because this T4 is slightly too far back this way compared to this line, whereas this one is slightly too far this way compared to this line. So I'm slightly off on my measurements. The slightly amount that I'm off right now is non-consequential, okay? If you can see, this line is here, oops, right here, and this line is right here, okay? That is non-consequential how far they're off. Now, if one was up here, that would be a problem. Okay, then the next step here is to go from FP2 to our T4. I don't know if you can see that. There I'm getting 11, so that's 5.5, and that just confirms that my measurement was slightly off again, but it's not horrible. All right, I hope this is helpful. Ask questions if you have them. I'm here to help.